All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at something that's, well, it's less of a tech update and more of a total shift in thinking for anyone who's trying to build a real community online. We're talking about getting past that endless scroll, and actually owning your digital world. And the platform we're looking at is called Web4 Studio, which is all about taking back control. So, let's get into it. Okay, so this one really gets right to the heart of it. Digital sharecroppers. Just let that sink in for a second. You spend all this time building your audience, right? You're creating incredible content, you're nurturing this amazing community, but you're doing it all on land that you just don't own. The rules can change in a heartbeat, and you're kind of at the mercy of the platform owner. And that is the fundamental problem we're going to unpack today. And this slide, wow, it just lays out that tenant versus landlord idea so clearly. I mean, look at the left side. That's the reality for pretty much all of us right now, isn't it? We're tenants, we're building on rented digital land, we're dealing with crazy algorithm changes, we actually have to pay to reach the followers we already earned, and our data, forget about it, it's not ours. But then, look over at the vision on the right, becoming the landlord. You're building on your own land. You get to set the rules. You have direct, unfiltered access to your people, and crucially, you own your own data. Big difference, right? So, the big question is, how do we actually make that jump? From tenant to landlord? Well, that brings us to this first major idea, building what they call a sovereign digital estate. Now, I know it sounds simple on the surface, but this is a really profound shift in thinking. The solution isn't just about downloading a new app or building another website. No, it's about a fundamental change in your mindset and, more importantly, in who has control. It's about going from being just another user on a platform to becoming the true owner of your own digital home. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. Let's talk about the actual tangible benefits here. For businesses, think about this. You get absolute ownership of your customer relationships. No more paying those ridiculous reach taxes just to talk to your own audience. And owning your data, that means you can build a stable foundation for your business without living in fear that some algorithm change is going to wipe you out overnight. Now, for individuals and creators, it's about creating a digital sanctuary, a space where you define the values, and the community, the legacy you're building, is actually protected and permanent. Okay, let's get into the second big idea here. And honestly, this is where things get really transformative. It's called the purpose engine, and it's all about designing your community for a mission, not just for addiction. I mean, we all know this feeling, don't we? Doom scrolling. It's not some random accident. It's literally a design philosophy. Most social networks are engineered from the ground up to keep you hooked, to keep you passive, just endlessly scrolling through a feed of, well, distractions. The whole point is to capture your time, not to empower your purpose. So, the goal with Web4 Studio is to completely flip that script. Instead of a time sink that's designed to get you addicted, you build a purpose engine that's designed for inspiration. Just look at the shift here. Passive consumption gets replaced by active contribution, and that feed of random distractions, it gets replaced by a mission dashboard that actually shows you the goals and the impact your community is having. It's a total game changer. And here's the crucial takeaway from all that. Your members stay engaged because they're genuinely inspired, because they believe in the mission, not just because they're caught in some cheap dopamine loop. See, every single interaction, every post, every comment reinforces the community's core purpose, and that's what turns a simple social network into a seriously high-performance tool for collaboration. Okay, so let's recap. You own your space, and it's mission-driven. Awesome. But what about the future? How do you make sure this thing you've built actually lasts? Well, that brings us to the next key piece of the puzzle, future-proofing your community with what's called the Web4 intelligence layer. For years, the internet has been dominated by these walled gardens, these big, closed platforms that don't talk to each other. Building with something like Web4 Studio is all about breaking down those walls. It's designed for a future that's way more interconnected, that's interoperable, and that uses intelligent automation to actually serve the user, not just the platform. And here's kind of how that works in practice. First, you build your own sovereign hub, your home base. Then from there, you and your members actually own your sovereign identity. The best way to think about it is like a digital passport for your reputation. All your contributions, your achievements, they can travel with you across a whole ecosystem of connected communities, and you never lose control of your own data. It's pretty cool. And all of this is powered by that Web4 intelligence layer. So Imagine having AI-driven assistants that are basically community concierge. And their job isn't to sell you ads, right? Their job is to serve the community. They can summarize really complex discussions, they can make smart, meaningful introductions between members, and they make sure all that collective knowledge is super easy to find. This is AI working for the community's mission, not for advertisers. So, when you put all of this together, the ownership, the purpose-driven design, and this intelligent future-proofing, what you start to see is a path toward a much more intentional digital future. And really, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. The core shift is from quantity to quality. It's a deliberate move away from just chasing bigger numbers, more followers, more clicks, more hours scrolled, and toward actually cultivating quality. It's about building a digital home that values real depth over all the noise and true community over some black box algorithm.
And that really just leaves us with this one big question. Because these kinds of tools are becoming more and more available, the choice is increasingly up to us. So, what kind of digital world do you want to build? One where you're just a tenant, or one where you are the architect? Definitely something to think about. That's all for now. Thanks for tuning in.